Let's get started with our first news. Daniel Cormier visited Ben Askren before UFC 319 yesterday, and the two had some fun together outside of the octagon. Ben, who has always been known for his sense of humor and playful personality, posted a short video on his Instagram showing them playing a round of disc golf. As you would expect, he couldn't resist adding a little joke to the moment. In his caption, Ben wrote, "Beating DC in disc golf is light work, even in my current condition." The light-hearted jab immediately caught fans' attention, setting the tone for what turned out to be a hilarious interaction between two beloved figures in the MMA world. From the look of things, the two had plenty of laughs throughout the game. The video captured them tossing discs while trading playful insults, almost as if they were back inside the octagon competing, only this time with frisbees instead of gloves. Ben was clearly trying to get under DC's skin, joking that all he needed to do was throw the disc farther to beat him. DC, of course, was quick with his own comebacks, saying he wasn't taking the game seriously and that he'd do better if he actually tried. At one point, Ben launched a throw and immediately mocked DC for struggling to keep up. DC, not missing a beat, fired back that Ben's throws weren't exactly anything to brag about either. The two went back and forth like this the entire time, keeping the competition lighthearted and entertaining. The trash talk only escalated as the game went on. Ben kept calling out DC every chance he got, saying things like, "Oh, that's not going to get it done," and maybe half the distance whenever DC's throws fell short. DC took it in stride, laughing along but also making sure to dish it back. At one point, one of DC's throws clipped a tree, which sent Ben into a fit of laughter. He yelled that DC needed to flatten it out and snap the wrist if he wanted any chance of competing. Interestingly, DC actually tried to follow Ben's advice. Some of his throws did improve, but Ben wasn't about to let him off the hook. Every time DC thought he had thrown a good one, Ben quickly interrupted, shouting things like, "Sit down, go sit down." The whole scene perfectly captured the chemistry between the two. Both men are naturally competitive, but neither can resist making jokes and poking fun at each other. Moments like this remind fans why fighters like Daniel Cormier and Ben Askren remain so popular even after stepping away from fighting. They have larger-than-life personalities, and when they share glimpses of their personal lives, whether it's podcast banter, social media skits, or even something as simple as disc golf, it instantly becomes comedy gold. Disc golf might not sound like a big deal, but when you put two former fighters with huge personalities on the same course, it turns into must-watch entertainment. Clearly, Ben wasn't going to let DC walk away with bragging rights, and judging from their playful rivalry, this probably won't be the last time they square off in a friendly competition. Fans are already looking forward to the next chapter of their hilarious battles outside the octagon. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We're constantly working on improving our content to earn your love and support. That's why we'd truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Now moving on to the second news. Robert Whittaker has given his full reaction to Khamzat Chimaev's dominant victory over Dricus Du Plessis at UFC 319. And the former champion had nothing but praise for what he saw inside the octagon. Speaking on the MMA Arcade podcast, Rob admitted he was genuinely blown away by Chimaev's ability to maintain such a relentless pace for 5 straight rounds against one of the toughest middleweights in the division. Whittaker explained that everyone going into the fight expected Khamzat to come out strong in the opening round. Nobody was shocked when he immediately shot for the takedown and controlled Du Plessis on the mat early. That's what people have come to expect from Chimaev, an aggressive start, explosive pressure, and heavy top control. But what really caught Rob's attention was the fact that Khamzat didn't slow down. He kept the same kind of intensity, the same kind of grinding pressure, and the same level of control for all 25 minutes. According to Rob, that was the most impressive part of the entire fight. Whittaker even described it as mind-blowing, stressing that most fighters in the division would fade after 2 or 3 rounds if they tried to keep that pace. Yet Chimaev seemed comfortable, almost thriving in that chaos, while continuing to pour it on without giving Du Plessis any breathing room. Rob reflected on his own experience facing Khamzat, breaking down what makes him so difficult once he gets you down. He explained that Chimaev doesn't just secure a position and stall. Instead, he's constantly working, constantly making his opponent deal with multiple threats at the same time. Whether it's peeling away your knees, shifting to body locks, looking for hooks, or dropping short but damaging punches and elbows, Khamzat never stops forcing you to react. That endless stream of pressure makes it almost impossible to stand back up. Whittaker described it as feeling like you're carrying Chimaev's entire weight for the whole round, all while getting peppered with strikes and dealing with constant positional changes. He gives you 4 to 6 different things to think about every second, Rob explained, and he does it while sagging on you and making you carry his weight the entire time. Despite his admiration for Chimaev, Rob didn't ignore Du Plessis' toughness. He credited Dricus for showing heart and for finding small windows of success, reminding everyone that it takes a very strong fighter to even survive under that kind of pressure. According to Rob, both men impressed him in different ways, but Khamzat's consistency stood out the most. Whittaker summed it up by saying that Chimaev didn't just win at UFC 319, he proved something much bigger. He proved that his style isn't just dangerous in short bursts, but it actually holds up over the long haul against elite competition. For Rob, that performance cemented Khamzat as a true threat to anyone in the division, and he admitted he walked away from the fight more impressed than ever before. Now let's move on to another big story. Khamzat Chimaev has officially responded to the backlash surrounding his so-called boring performance against Dricus Du Plessis at UFC 319. Despite walking away as the brand new UFC middleweight champion, the narrative after the fight was split. While some praised his dominance, many fans criticized the bout for not living up to the fireworks they had expected. The criticism hit harder because of the reputation Khamzat had built leading into this fight. He wasn't known for cautious 5-rounders. Instead, he was known for blitzing opponents in the first round, overwhelming them with pressure, and either securing a submission or a TKO before fans even had time to sit down. That aura of destruction was a big part of why fans tuned in. People were expecting another storm, another wild and chaotic war, and instead they got 5 rounds of suffocating dominance that, while technically brilliant, left some feeling underwhelmed. Even Dana White admitted after the event that he thought the fight would be a banger. He was surprised that it played out the way it did, with Khamzat grinding out a decision instead of delivering his trademark highlight reel finish. But here's the thing, Khamzat didn't shy away from the criticism, he didn't ignore it, and he didn't brush it off. At the post-fight press conference, he addressed it head-on. The first thing he made clear was his willingness to get back inside the octagon as quickly as possible. He said he's already ready to fight in Abu Dhabi in just 2 months, proving he's not planning to sit on the belt. He even floated the idea of moving back down to welterweight to face the winner of Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena, showing just how ambitious and fearless he still is. But the most surprising part of his reaction came when he actually apologized to Dana White for not securing the finish. Khamzat admitted that he felt bad for not delivering the kind of fight that fans expected. He gave plenty of credit to Du Plessis, praising the South African for his toughness and refusing to go down under constant pressure. According to Khamzat, he did everything he could, but Du Plessis' grit and durability prevented an early stoppage. Interestingly, Khamzat also revealed that his team had encouraged him to see the positives in this performance. They told him it might actually be good for his career to go the full 25 minutes, giving him experience that will help him in future championship fights. He agreed with that assessment, saying he learned a lot, but he still felt the need to say sorry for leaving fans unsatisfied. Sorry for Dana White, Khamzat admitted. He likes finishes. I tried in the last seconds but made a mistake. That moment showed a different side of Khamzat Chimaev. He was still confident, still dangerous, but also self-aware enough to acknowledge the fan reaction. He reminded everyone that he dominated everywhere, in both striking and wrestling, and that Du Plessis' toughness was the only reason the fight went to a decision. In the end, Khamzat proved that he's not just a one-round monster, he can dominate for 5 rounds, carry his relentless pace, and still be ready to fight again immediately. Whether fans loved it or not, he left no doubt about who the better fighter was at UFC 3. Next up, Demetrious Johnson has stepped in to defend Khamzat Chimaev from the wave of online criticism that erupted after his victory over Dricus Du Plessis. Known for speaking his mind, Mighty Mouse didn't mince words. He fired back at fans, saying very bluntly that if people don't enjoy grappling and wrestling, then maybe the UFC simply isn't for them. Johnson, widely regarded as one of the most technically gifted fighters in MMA history, made it clear that the backlash against Chimaev was unfair. If you don't want to see that style, Johnson said, there's a simple fix. Just hit the off button. He emphasized that people complaining about Khamzat's dominant grappling were making it out to be a bigger issue than it really was. This response was classic Demetrious Johnson, direct, unapologetic, and rooted in his respect for technique. Throughout his own legendary career, Johnson often relied on grappling, transitions, and high-level control to outclass his opponents. He reminded fans that dominance is dominance, and whether it comes in the form of a knockout or a 5-round display of control, it still deserves recognition. For Johnson, the criticism toward Chimaev exposed a deeper problem with how some fans view MMA. Too many people, in his opinion, only tune in expecting knockouts and wild exchanges. They forget that mixed martial arts is supposed to showcase all aspects of combat: striking, wrestling, grappling, submissions, and strategy. If someone can impose their game plan for 25 minutes without letting their opponent breathe, that's the highest level of mastery. He pointed out that fighters like Chimaev make the sport what it is: unpredictable, multi-dimensional, and tactical. If you can't appreciate the technical side of the game, Johnson argued, then maybe this sport isn't for you. By defending Khamzat, Johnson also highlighted something bigger: the constant pressure fighters face to deliver entertainment rather than simply winning in the most effective way possible. He made it clear that fighters don't owe fans reckless brawls; what they owe is their best performance inside the cage. In the end, Johnson's defense sent a strong message: fans can complain all they want, but those who truly understand MMA know that Khamzat Chimaev's victory was a masterclass in control and conditioning. Whether it was thrilling to watch or not, the reality is that he completely neutralized a dangerous opponent and walked away with the belt. For fighters like Demetrious Johnson, that's the definition of greatness. Now moving on to Dana White, who had some pretty strong words when asked about Jon Jones. Reporters pressed Dana on the possibility of Jones headlining the upcoming White House card, and the UFC president didn't hesitate to shut that talk down immediately. According to Dana, the chances of that happening are, in his words, 1,000,000,000 to 1. Dana explained why so bluntly. He said, quite frankly, that he simply doesn't trust Jon enough to put him on such a massive, high-profile stage. This isn't just about fighting skills, which nobody questions when it comes to Jon Jones, but about reliability, professionalism, and the ability to represent the UFC in one of the most visible events in combat sports history. For Dana, the risk outweighs the reward. When reporters followed up asking if there was anything Jon could do in the next few months to earn that trust back, Dana's answer was an emphatic no. He doubled down, saying there's no scenario where he would be comfortable with Jones headlining that kind of card. He even revealed that he hasn't spoken with Jon in a long time, further underlining that their relationship is not in a good place right now. This makes it clear that despite Jones's legendary status, that the UFC is looking at other options for its biggest showcases. But Dana didn't stop there. He also provided updates on several fighters coming out of UFC 319. For starters, he confirmed that Aaron Pico unfortunately suffered a concussion from Lauren Murphy's vicious spinning elbow. Pico will be undergoing further medical checks before making any kind of return. Dana emphasized the importance of fighter safety, noting that concussions are something the UFC takes extremely seriously, especially after such a heavy impact shot. As for the night's biggest talking point, Khamzat Chimaev's dominant win over Dricus Du Plessis, Dana gave Chimaev his full credit. He said the fight was completely one-sided, scoring every round for Chimaev except maybe the final one. Dana was impressed with the way Chimaev controlled the action, especially in those suffocating grappling exchanges where Dricus simply couldn't find a way out. At the same time, Dana also praised Du Plessis for his toughness. He pointed out that even when Chimaev locked him in brutal positions like the crucifix, Dricus refused to quit. While the punches Khamzat landed weren't knockout shots, Dana noted they added up, doing plenty of damage over time and leaving Dricus with swelling and visible fatigue. Dana admitted it must have been extremely frustrating for Du Plessis to be stuck in those positions, unable to mount any real offense. Yet he respected the way Dricus hung in there and fought until the final bell. That, Dana said, is what separates top-level fighters: the ability to keep battling even when you're clearly outmatched. In the end, Dana's comments painted a clear picture. Jon Jones won't be getting the spotlight anytime soon. Aaron Pico will need time to recover, and Khamzat Chimaev is only solidifying his reputation as one of the most dominant forces in the sport today. Finally, let's wrap things up with Khamzat Chimaev's response to Sean Strickland. At the UFC 319 post-fight press conference, reporters brought up Sean's recent comments where he claimed that back when they trained together he was able to out-wrestle Khamzat. As soon as the question was asked, Khamzat burst out laughing. The idea that Sean was the one getting the better of him in the gym clearly didn't sit with him, and he wasted no time in dismissing the claim altogether. "Bro, they could take him down many times, but how can he take me down? Come on," Khamzat said, with a big smile. His confidence was undeniable. He went on to explain that not only did he hold his own in training, but he dominated Sean everywhere in wrestling, in striking, and in overall intensity. According to Khamzat, there was no part of the game where Sean had an advantage. He doubled down on the point, saying that people who actually trained with him know the reality. In his view, Sean's story about out-wrestling him is nothing more than an attempt to get attention. "He never take me down, I take him down. I smash him," Khamzat said, brushing it off as nothing more than talk. Khamzat also called Sean a funny guy, making it clear that he doesn't take his words too seriously. He pointed out that Sean has recently been training with Paulo Costa, which opened the door for more jokes. Laughing again, Khamzat said he could beat both of them at the same time and that neither one posed a real problem for him. The way he said it made the whole room laugh, but it also highlighted the level of confidence he carries with him. What stood out the most in this exchange was Khamzat's calm yet playful demeanor. He didn't look rattled by Sean's comments, nor did he feel the need to defend his reputation with anger. Instead, he turned the entire situation into a joke, reminding everyone that he sees himself on a completely different level compared to fighters like Strickland and Costa. For Khamzat, these kinds of comments are just background noise, nothing that can shake his self-belief. This reaction also shows the mindset of a fighter who is at the peak of his confidence. Khamzat knows that his dominant victory at UFC 319 speaks louder than anything said online or in interviews. He doesn't need to prove himself with words, but when given the opportunity, he makes sure to remind everyone that he views himself as untouchable. Fans watching the press conference noted that this was classic Khamzat, unapologetically confident, playful with his words, and unwilling to give any credit to rivals trying to discredit him. Whether you love him or hate him, there's no denying that Khamzat knows how to keep the spotlight firmly on himself. And with that, we close out today's news cycle. Khamzat's victory, his playful dismissal of Sean Strickland's claims, and his bold confidence once again prove that he remains one of the most fascinating figures in MMA today.